Hello, testing. Mic check. Seems good. Hello everybody. Gonna switch over the stream camera. Nice. Looks like we are all good to go and everything is focusing as it should. So hello everyone. Welcome to another Munto stream this Wednesday night. Well, at least Wednesday where I'm at, maybe Thursday where you guys are at. Today our plan is pretty straightforward. Don't have anything super crazy going on. Just going to work on some pinning and puttying and doing all that intermediate prep before we get ready for primer stuff. So just gonna kind of chill today and work on this, see how far we get, and go from there. Hi, Mr. Frike, how are you doing tonight? Or early morning, whatever suits you better. Yeah. Recapping, it appears I listed these all out here, or put them all out, because we had finished looking at them and getting all of those major holes filled in. So we're gonna continue with filling in putty holes, basically holes that I've drilled out because I noticed there was an issue on the kit, and then we'll probably get all of those done, move on to magnets, and then go in with the Bondo for another bit of puttying. There's a lot of holes on this kit, so let's see if it will focus on them. Yeah, lots of holes that I've drilled out, so we've got quite a bit of filling in to do. And let's see, Thursday only just, oh, so just turned there, that's good. Still got time. And no worries, yeah. Pinning for this kit will be interesting. I'm thinking of using a combination of wires and magnets, just because there's quite a few places that probably won't have magnets very well. Like her head here, this is going to be a wire for sure. I'm thinking that her twin tails are going to be wires because we'll have better support in that aspect. However they fit, we'll have to figure it all out. But other areas can be magnetized, so I'm planning to add magnets into her shoes, planning to have magnets probably for the two pieces together like this, as well as her leg portion, so these should fit together well with magnets. This piece doesn't even need a magnet, it just kind of slides in, so the way her cast actually works is it just fits up here, and then it sits like so. Pretty straightforward. But once we have magnets in the legs, it'll be a little easier to get all that together. So we'll get there hopefully tonight, but we'll see. I am anticipating quite a bit of putty tonight. There's so many holes and stuff I haven't even found yet, so not really sure even where to start. I'll probably just start, yeah, let's start with some of this. And what I'll be using tonight is probably a combination of my clear UV gel, which is right here. So this, as I've said before, is a clear drying resin. All you need is a UV light. So this will cure really, or dry really fast, and we'll be able to sand it down really quickly, as well as my light curing putty tube, which has seen better days, but there's still a lot in here. And this one, you just put it up to a light, fluorescent light for 30 seconds or so, and it'll cure really nice. So we'll start out kind of doing whatever. There's not really any difference here between the two of what is better or not, but I'm just gonna go for it. And already there's a little hair, it's like an eyelash or something. So yeah, this light curing putty does dry really quickly, and it's also this bright yellow color. So if you're working with a nice white resin, this may not be your first choice, especially if you wanted to, you know, use a clear primer on your kit. But for this purpose, it's great because this is very, very yellowy resin. I'm just gonna put it on a couple spots, and then we'll sand down it as we go. And there's one here. Well, actually, I'll start with those three. So yeah, what I'm doing now is just holding up to the light. mouse going wild. Okay, getting there. Gonna be a little bit of like a lag then today because we're gonna be, you know, puttying and waiting and puttying some more and filling in stuff and going from there. But it will be good to get all of this out of the way. Okay. Should be good at this point. So you can see it's kind of changed into a more matte color. So it was really shiny at first and now it's not so shiny. That means it's ready to sand down. So we'll just go for it. Hopefully I gave it enough time. Been doing a lot of other assorted putty work on my current commission, so I've got kind of everything laid out on the table right now, so that's convenient. We'll hopefully have more info about that soon, because I've been keeping that secret. Okay, I'll cut this down a little bit. I'm gonna try to keep one piece at a time on screen because I did notice that it tends to like to focus on everything but what I'm working on. Pretty sure I said that like 1,000 times at this point. So yeah, I'm just using a 400 grit right now, and then after that, I think this is actually 600. I'm not 100% sure. I stuck out, or like I pulled a bunch of random pieces out that were in a little bag, and so I'm just trying to go through them at this point. But this cloth I know here is 800, so we'll just give it a quick. Yep, that's pretty much it. So once it fills in, you can see right here, it's very yellow compared to the rest of the resin, so that's why, you know, even with this yellow resin, it's still kind of crazy bright, right? And so for clear resin and white resin, it's probably not a good fit. But I have noticed the longer you kind of let this putty, this Tamiya light curing putty, set in the piece without sanding it down, it kind of fades out. I'm not quite sure why that happens, but it does. Hi monkey, it's raining. Oh, thank goodness. I don't think it's raining here yet, but I heard one like thunder clap, and thank God, because it has been horrible today. Our AC is like pretty much on the verge of dying. Every time it turns off, it's like making this sound that is not not a good sound. So I need to keep an eye on it. Worst would be for it to break down, you know, right in the middle of this heat wave. Okay, pretty straightforward. All these pieces are just going to be, you know, sanded down in this way. So we will continue. Putty and chill. That's the vibe tonight. This one's a little bit. Okay, that's good. There was also, let's see, oh yeah, one in here. I do find that this light curing putty is a little bit easier to sand down in the sense that you can tell when you've hit surrounding resin. So clear resin, I have kind of a hard time occasionally telling if I've fully sanded down the area, and then when I end up priming it, I just see like this little lump where the clear resin is still sitting, and so it's a little harder bit to sand down compared to this yellow stuff. This is my favorite putty for sure, this light curing putty, but the clear one is growing on me. Alright, so we will be holding this up to the light now. Just gonna let all of this putty here flash dry. Hello Palico, how are you doing today? Good to see you as well. We are moving on with this kit and just doing lots of puttying today, and hopefully some magnetizing and pinning. Just depends how far I get. Otherwise that'll be pushed to Monday. But this step kind of happens simultaneously, I guess. Usually I do all the pinning first, but in this case there's so many holes that I've drilled out on this kit, like so. Well, it's a little hard to see because my hand. But oh my god, I'm like holding this piece up to the light and then also trying to get this to show, but I'll zoom in later. Okay, let me check. Where did it go? Okay, a little bit more on this side. And maybe I can get it to show. Oh, there we go. So yeah, lots of holes, as you can see. Her skirt, or like these pants, these pumpkin-y pants were especially difficult. There's a lot of holes in them, so that will be a pain, and camera probably won't pick it up, but her shoes also, there's basically tiny resin bubble holes in every single one of these little strands of, you know, where the ties are, the string. So those will all have to be filled in as well. Okay. Okay, yeah, that one's actually good to sand. Yeah. This spot here is a little bit annoying. Kind of right in the middle of where this indent is. She's got these wild pants. They're just kind of a lot of opportunities for shading in this pants area, so I'm sure we can do something cool with that. This yellow Tamiya is pretty good too because it doesn't break off quite as easily. Sometimes I find the clear stuff breaks off a little, but that's also probably because I'm not waiting long enough for it to dry. Okay, there's a tiny hole here I missed, so fill that out. And let's just fill that in right now because I'm moving kind of along the edge here. Basically just grabbing a tiniest bit of this putty out of the tube, which is off screen. I should probably just put it on screen, but then you have to look at it. It's not in great shape. You squeeze this tube too quickly, it kind of breaks, so just the putty kind of seeps out, and so what you're seeing here, this kind of nastiness, is the like one of the liquid of the putty, which isn't really doing any harm in the long term, but it is like slightly sticky to the touch. So if you're gonna work with this kind of putty, just be careful when you're pushing it out of the tube, because a lot of times I like squeeze it back and forth, and then that's why it ended up breaking. I should know better too. This is not the first time that happened to me, so just squeeze it like toothpaste, just from the bottom up, and you should be good. Okay. And I'm gonna hurt that. That's why, because the camera focuses on it. Okay. Okay, moving on. I'm gonna cut off, or actually I'll just use this piece. Okay. Right here. So yeah, ideally when you're working with a kit, you know, you want to get really nice quality resin that doesn't have all of these hole problems, because you're going to spend a lot more time correcting issues like this when you could be painting. But it happens, so that's why I'm here to show you guys. Also another little spot here. What I'm finding out is these little holes that just kind of appear once you've sanded down a little more. So Bondo will take care of some of that, but while I'm seeing them, might as well fill them in. Okay, and yep, we're good here. Definitely why I recommend using these quick drying putties. A lot of putties on the market, you know, advertise themselves as filling in these small spaces, but then they have a cure time of like 6 hours, or drying time 6 hours. But who has time for that? You gotta like put holes in it and then wait that long? No thanks. There is also a product in the Japanese market that is not available to foreigners called Cyanon. And honestly, it looks like the dream product. It's basically like a mix of cyanoacrylate, I think, don't quote me on that, combined with like a powder. So basically like the baby powder slash, you know, super glue mixture. But it just comes out in a little tube and then it dries so quickly, completely, you know, dries like clear. And so many Japanese modelers use that product. It's called Cyanon, but we don't have access to it here, sadly. So someday I would like to try that product and see how it goes. But it basically does what we're doing here now. It's just a very quick drying bubble filler slash, you know, minor imperfection filler. Every time I see all these holes, I was like, man, I wish that I had some Cyanon just so I could try it. Okay, this looks good. Sand down this a little more. Yeah, we're definitely going to need to Bondo these. I'm seeing quite a few really tiny holes. And let's fill this one in. You can see it's also kind of starting to clump onto my toothpick. That's just because this is light curing. So if you don't put all of it onto a piece, then you're gonna get it gluing itself onto the toothpick. There's also a little hole here that oh, that one's gonna be a little annoying to sand off, but oh well. Okay. I think that's it on this piece. I'll check again, but we'll let those two spots dry. So one kind of in between the folds, I noticed a dent that I punched out with my drill, and then the other one is a bubble right on the tip of one of the, I guess, clothing like end tips. Also, oh, there's one here too. One thing, I guess, yeah, that you can notice is when you're holding this piece up to the light, you can sometimes see little bubbles because they show up lighter. So a lot of times what I do is I hold up pieces to light and see, you know, if there's any bubbles that are showing up, because it literally, like, the resin is a lighter color. It looks like a little bubble that's popped. So I wonder if I could show it through here. Probably not. Yeah, probably not. I basically just drilled out a tiny hole right here because I saw that it was shining lighter under my lamp. Let's see, light curing has reminded me about a file to 3D print. Ooh, nice. Oh, that's exciting. What model is it? Are you able to show it on here? Or what series, if you can't show which model? Or a thingy. I know there's like Thingiverse that has lots of little thingies to print out. I have a friend who does a lot of that. They print things off of Thingiverse and then, you know, are able to paint them. There was one that they were gonna print for me, and I might paint it live on a stream just because I think it would be funny. And it's a very easy job. Probably like a 1 or 2 night job at most. Okay, let me click this link real quick. You guys can look at this yellow blob. Ooh, that's a sexy figure. Oh man, I'm loving that. They're like the best couple too. Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn. Yeah, I really like their face sculpts. And the pose is really nice too. They have like such a more positive relationship compared to, like, not that DC relationships are mostly healthy anyway, but it always seemed like Harley and Poison Ivy were, you know, at least, what was it? Was it in Batman Beyond? I don't remember which series it was because I'm more of a Marvel fan, but yeah, their pairing was always one of my favorites. Very like girl power and also helping like Harley get over the trauma inflicted upon her from Joker. Files are split up in pieces. Okay, yeah, that's a big thing too. So it's good that you took a note of that when you bought that file, because yeah, there's a lot of 3D prints that just come out and they're just one piece, and then you're like, okay, I don't know about that. Yeah, and the more pieces it can split into, honestly, the better. Like, I know that, you know, sometimes it can be a little unwieldy because then you have to paint, you know, so many different pieces, but honestly, it makes assembly so much easier if you can just glue them on and if they're in a good, you know, spot. If it's unnecessary, you know, splitting, then that's another factor though. Like, you don't want to split arms. I hate it when arms have like 2 joints, you know, like shoulder, and then there's like a line between that and the regular arm. Some sculptors try to get around that by introducing an armband. So if you've ever, you know, looked at garage kits, especially some older ones, there's kind of a lot of bikini figures that have these girls like posing and they're wearing like a random armband. That's because it makes the splitting and the painting work a little easier, because otherwise you have to join those 2 pieces together, putty over it, you know, put it as one piece, and that's a lot more work than just putting an armband in the middle and, you know, saying it's fine. I always laugh when I see that. Especially when it comes to like painting skin tone, you really want those pieces as one whole piece. You don't want to have to be puttying over and doing all the skin like that. But yeah, they are very good. Yeah, they're a good pair, Mr. Freaky. Okay. I was trying to like get a good position here with this middle part, but it's getting a little tough, so I'm gonna use my larger sandpaper here. Kind of filing down in between this crack here. I think this was the last hole on this piece though, so after that we'll move on to something else. Kind of want to save the shoes for last because they are troublesome. A lot of really small holes that I'm gonna have to be careful of. Okay, I will also go in with my X-Acto knife and kind of shave out some of this unused putty. There we go. Because really the putty is just gonna stick to what's in the hole. but not along the side there, so you kind of just chip it off without having to worry about the resin hole you just filled in. A little bit of roughness here. I might go in and Bondo that. Looks like it's a scratch. Could be from the 400 grit, so not too worried. We'll figure the rest of that out later, so. Okay. Get a little bit of moisture on that and wipe away any spare dust. A weird black smudge here. Looks like it's embedded in the resin. There's been a couple of weird cases of that on this kit, like a hair or two. Oh, yeah, I forgot this full. One more. This one's really quick though. This is that one I just drilled out. I totally forgot about it already. Okay. How long would a print like that take to print, Mr. Frike? Out of curiosity. Because I have seen, you know, some bigger ones that people have printed and it's taken a lot of time. Not sure yet. Yeah, I think it depends on like how your printer settings too, probably, like how fine you want the print to print out. Because if you want it to go really fast, you know, you sacrifice the quality there, but then you're able to print it sooner, so. Had a sale, so you jumped on it before. Hey, no, that's the way to do it. There's a lot of people I know that hoard, you know, these print models and the file, I guess, so they can print it later. Because you never know when someone will take it down either, so. And I see I have another question. Where do I get my acrylic bases? Are you talking about my clear bases or just like ones that I use in general on my figures? I assume you're talking about the clear ones, in which case, give me 1 second. So, unfortunately, I don't know if you're in the US or not, nor do I know if this company ships them overseas. But let me give you a link. So I buy my bases from eBay. I specifically buy them from a company called Z Laser, which is this link here. Oops, Google did something weird. There we go. Yeah, so I buy all of my my acrylic clear bases from Z Laser. They have really like fantastic pricing, I think, at least comparable to other places that I've seen. But their shipping is fantastic. Like I ordered a base today and they've already shipped it out and it will come here next week. They can like combine shipping prices, so you basically just pay, you know, one shipping for all of the bases. And they have so many sizes. Basically you can buy anything from, you know, less than an inch all the way up to 6 inches plus in a variety of heights as well. So a lot of times, you know, it just kind of depends what height you want to go for, but they have everything diameter wise and then height wise as well. So I would recommend kind of, you know, measuring your figure first or figuring out what size you want first before you order. That way you don't get anything too large or too small. And then, you know, after that you can just, you know, buy as you need. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll get like a little piece of paper and then I'll seriously just make the diameter and stick the figure on it. And if it works and I buy it. But yeah, I've had no problems with quality with these bases either. They're always really nice quality, really clear, you know. The sides, you know, could be tapered a little bit better, but you know, your pay's not a lot either. So, yeah. A million hours. Yeah, it might be a million hours to print something that big. That's a good sale as well. Yeah, a lot of times you have to jump on those when you get a good sale. But yeah, hopefully that helps you out, Palico. I do have like a variety in my closet, so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just buy like the size I do need and then a couple that I know that I need. You know, like if I use 3-inch a lot, I'll buy a bunch of 3 inches. But my dog might bark a little bit. No, he's being a good boy. My husband just came home, so. But yeah, so I don't even know what my most used size is because it really depends on like what project I'm doing and the size of the figure. So a lot of times I try to anticipate it, but then it doesn't work and I need to like buy another one. But for my own stuff, like I always have enough on hand. Okay, I need a little bit more here. Unfortunately, I did not drill out all of it, so, or fill in all of it. Yeah, clear bases are such a like easy thing to do, and they make your figure look so professional that I've just started using them more and more. So, but I also like creating like cute and different bases, so they can kind of be a crutch too if you just want something quick to put it on. Alright, I had one more hole to fill in on this like tapered skirt thingy, so. Oh, I have candy. Oh boy, thank you. Oh my goodness. Oh geez. Oh, that's perfect. Thank you. Yep. I have a lot of candy now. I have been rewarded. Okay. Yep, this is good. What else do I like to do now that I'm thinking about bases? One thing I really like to do on all of my figures, at least if the opportunity arises, is use a like drink holder, not like a holder, but you know those like coffee, I don't know how to say it. I can't think of the word right now. It's like a drink holder, so like you just put a drink on it, and they can be any, you know, kind of wood or metal or ceramic, but there's like a million different types of them and patterns. And so I like that. Well, pre-COVID I used to like to go to thrift shops and find drink coaster. That was it. Yeah. You got it, Palico. Yeah, a drink coaster. I really liked using drink coasters for my figures just because it was fun to like go to a thrift shop and find like really unique and cool ones. And a lot of times they're, you know, at least a 1/4 inch thick, so you really don't need too much thickness. I don't use like big wooden plaques or anything, so they were always really fun to use. I found some really cool ones when I used to thrift a lot. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things. And what kind of candy? Looks like we've got some giant gummy bananas, which those are a little odd. Well, I'll just show you guys. There's a lot here. Got some gummy colas, got some licorice type stuff. I'm gonna watch Loki after this probably, so we've got to get our movie snack night on. Alright, looks like this is good now. I'm just turning it around over and over. Hey, there's Curry, the candy giver. This one filled in? Yeah, looks like it. Okay. Oh, need to sand this down a little bit more. Okay. Yeah, after I, you know, fill all these in, I just do a kind of an external look over once or twice just to make sure I've filled all the bubbles in before I move on. Again, there's still kind of a lot of, you know, areas we need to fill in. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's kind of like a scratch right here, like along here. And that needs to be filled in, and there's a couple of minor things. So again, Bondo will do all that. How thick do I usually get for acrylic bases? Another good question. I prefer to get at least 1/4 inch thickness, so that would be 0.25 inches, or let's see, centimeters, 2 inch. I'm feeling not mathy today. 0.25, so let's see. Oh wait, no, 0.25. So at least I would do at least 0.5 centimeters. A lot of times I like to get a little bit more than that, but really it can be kind of crazy. Let me pull out some of the bases that I have just so you can see them, and then I'll move this over here. So because we'll be working on this next. Okay. couple of them, so we'll be able to measure them out and go from there. So I have a variety of sizes that I just kind of keep in stock. You can see they vary. These are all from Z-Laser. As I mentioned, I like to use them. And let me pull out my measuring. So I think these ones, yeah, so these ones here, the size is about a 1/4 inch thickness, because it's a little bit larger than 0.5 centimeters, and 1/4 inch to centimeter is about 0.63. So I would say I like this size a lot, the 0.25. I also have one here. This is the same thickness, but you can see the diameter is different. Only problem I would say is that if you need something with a lot more support, or if you something on like one leg, you probably want to go a little bit deeper than this. So this would be really good for figures that are just kind of standing there, like that maid kit. That was this size with 0.25, and it has the holes as well. You can see I drilled them in, and then I realized I didn't like the position of this kind of, I don't know if you guys can see it, there's like this little divot here, and I didn't like how that showed in all my photos, so I switched it out. I also have this size, which is like a much bigger base, and it is a little bit under 1 centimeter, probably easier to measure these in. This is a 1/2 inch, so is it the same? No, 1/2 inch, yeah. So the other ones were 1/4 inch, and this is, well, no, it's not. I'm dumb. 1/2 inch is much larger. I can read. Yes, this would be 1 centimeter. So whatever that is to inches, it's a 1 centimeter height. And then you get into big boys like this one. And so this is a size that is available a lot on Z-Laser. This is definitely a 1/2 inch base. I don't use this size a lot, to be honest. I tend to go around the 1/4 inch, just because it is a little unwieldy. And I think this, yeah, this size as well. This is a larger diameter, but it's 1/2 inch. And so yeah, I really don't tend to use this size that much, because if you have a figure sitting on it, whoops, it's like figure standing on it, it takes up a lot of height, and it's just like not very ideal. A lot of PVC figures and anything, if they have these bases, they're usually pretty thin because you don't want it to take up a lot of room. So I would stick to anything like less than 1/2 inch. Around that 1/2 inch, you're getting kind of crazy. Hopefully that answers your question. Again, it's all a matter of personal preference as well. So like, if, you know, I've seen plenty of figures, and people have, you know, their busts on these huge, you know, I forgot what the specific term is, but it's like those wooden blocks, and those can look great too. So really just all a matter of taste. Yeah, no problem. Always here to answer any questions you got. All right, we're gonna just continue on. I think today's just gonna be a hole filling night. That sounds very wrong. Puttying night. Tonight is a puttying night. And yeah, I'm just kind of gonna go a couple at a time, working along the edge here, because that way they can dry at the same time. All right. Yep, putty night. Using my lovely light curing putty for easy puttying fixing. This part's pretty satisfying though, because you're basically getting it to a point where you filled in all the big imperfections you see. There will be that handful of work involved on this though, because we have to make sure the twin tails are all assembled and stuff too before we paint them. Okay, a little bit longer. Time's moving by quickly though. I can't believe that it's basically already almost July. It's kind of blowing my mind here. I'm starting to get emails from my university, which is like the reality of the situation is settling in. Had a lot of free time this past year, but not anymore. These ones are all really easy to fill in because they're on a, you know, a flat plane. So for it. You may hear me blowing this resin off. I still recommend you use a mask when you're doing this, but I'm working with such a small amount of resin here that I don't really mind. Definitely when you're sanding a lot or filling in like a lot of stuff, you want to be wearing proper ventilation. Wearing ventilation. I probably could have phrased that better. Okay. There we go. Okay, a little more here, and then we're good to move on. Interesting. Like a slightly lighter color. I think it's because I drilled in though. We'll come back to that. Might need to put a little bit of Bondo over that hole. And we will continue onto this one. This stuff does cake on pretty easily, so a lot of times I do go in with the 400 grit first and then move on to sanding it down with a higher grit sandpaper. Hello Act Crafty, do I use a UV lamp to cure it? No, so this product here, this is Tamiya light curing putty, and essentially you just squirt out a little bit of putty into a hole or whatever you need to fill in, so it's really like surface level imperfections. And this product you'll put under I guess a fluorescent lamp, so it cures in light. It'll even cure under the sun. So really just any direct light source will cure it. I do have another product here on my bench. This is a UV curing putty, so it's a liquid resin. They just call it UV gel clear, and you just use a little UV light, and this one you'll put like direct light onto your piece and it will cure, or at least dry, in about 30 seconds. So I use kind of both of these interchangeably depending on the situation. I'm using this light curing one, this yellow putty right now because this resin is so yellow, and I just, I tend to conserve my UV gel for pieces that are really nice white resin or clear pieces. It's really fantastic for those. But for this, the age of this kit and the, yellowy resin it is already, the Tamiya stuff kind of does the trick here. This is generally my go-to, this yellow light curing putty. Oh, I just popped another hole. That was kind of even unrelated. Yeah, I like this product a lot, but it does dry this kind of yellow color, which puts some people off of it, so I can't blame them. But I prime pretty much everything anyway, so like I prime it white. Don't get great light when you work, so you've actually had to bring pieces outside. Oh yeah, definitely. I have, what is this lamp? It's not an aught light. It's some other like lamp I bought off of Amazon, but it has 5 modes. So if I turn the color here, you might be able to see it. Got this one, and it goes yellower and yellower. So like, look how yellow this light is. And I usually keep it at this bright white one, just because that's like the daylight setting. But yeah, if you buy this product and you hold it up to a light directly, it will cure in no time, or at least dry. I keep using these terms interchangeably, but I guess for clarification, dry time is different than cure time. Cure time is when a piece, or at least a putty or anything, is completely, rock solid, and that generally takes longer than your dry time. Same if you're applying paint. If you're spraying some sort of paint, it may be dry to the touch in like 10 minutes, but it cures in like 2 days. So just, we use that quite often, those terms quite often in this hobby. So if you hear me talking about it, that's what it means. So these pieces, I'm able to sand them down because they're dry, but I would not say that they are fully cured yet. That'll probably take me like overnight. But yeah, I do enjoy using these two putties because they do dry so quickly, and so I'm really just able to do a lot of resin work without waiting for stuff to, you know, completely dry before I sand it down. Okay. I think we're good. Again, I'll probably have to Bondo that, so we'll move on to more holes. Gonna work on this edge now. There's also a little hole here that was sadly in between the pieces, or like the ridges of her pants, so I have to smear it in a little bit. There's a hair here too. I was trying to get rid of it.
I want to give you what I think is the most authentic recipe. So first
That's
up, guys,
pretty good. Actually, that's pretty good. And let me just take a cotton swab, kind of wipe out some of that, sand it off later, but
nice centimeter slice. And technique.
I wouldn't worry too much about, you know, wasting this product. A little goes a long way with it. And even when I feel like I'm wasting this tube, I've had this particular tube for so long, a lot of years, so.
Because you need it.
Okay, there's also kind of a lot of dents over here, so just gonna fill in whatever and see what sticks. All right, that should be good for that plate. Hopefully you guys saw that. I was kind of working close to the edge of the desk, but it would be great if we could get all of these holes filled in tonight. I did not quite realize how many there were until we started working on these pieces. And when you're sanding and kind of puttying, you're like, ah, or not puttying, just sanding down, you're like, oh my goodness, there's a lot of holes. And then you drill, you know, some of them out. But then you realize that there's like a lot, so. I don't know if that fully filled the hole in. Almost there. About 15 more seconds. I don't think her arms had too many holes, so really we're just doing the big stuff right now. Yep, okay, ready to sand. So I'll start at the bottom here and kind of work my way up to the top of the pants.
That, my friend, is a thing of joy.
Hopefully it will focus. Check in now and then, but I'm not sure. Pretty good. Yeah, that stuff kind of just comes off. Try to give you a better focus. So pretty much all of this kind of fuzzy stuff, that's the resin, like the putty that I've sanded off, so you can see. So generally I just kind of blow it away. But it is easy to hit bare resin and just start sanding it, so just be aware. But I noticed that when I'm sanding, the resin doesn't really come off like that. So you can kind of tell when you're sanding bare resin versus this putty. This putty stuff kind of groups up when you sand it like that. And so I just kind of sand it all together. I might be over sanding this a tad, but fine. Okay, almost good. A little bit here. Can't tell if that's a scratch or what. Did fill in a good chunk of all this stuff though. That's fine. I think that's good for that area. We'll Bondo it later. Up to here. Now there's these two holes. This is an interesting song. I think this is new that they added into this playlist. I'm getting like weird French circus vibes. Okay, need another piece of paper. Probably should be using this actually. Yeah, it's actually really helpful for these flat planes. So this is just an 800 grit, but it's like the cloth version. So I cut it into small strips like I do with everything and then just kind of sand down as I go. These ones in between folds of the fabric are a little bit annoying. I just get a really sharp, kind of angled sandpaper and sand into the crevice. And that generally takes care of it. Let's see. Yep, it's pretty good. Okay, so to see, yeah, not pretty easy to see. So you can see that yellow dot there is kind of in between the fold of the resin. About as good as we'll get. And then there's this bottom area here, which you can't really even see now, but all of that was filled in. And there's some dust lingering in the middle there. So. Yep, so we're just kind of going along here. We've filled in these ones and these ones. Actually, yeah, these ones. And so now we're on to all of these ones. Just a lot on this kit. And some of these weren't even bubbles that were visible, I guess, the kind that you would see under the light, but they were dents in the resin. And so I think during the casting process, oops, I didn't mean to fill in that one, whatever. During the casting process, it seems like maybe there were bubbles that were, you know, popping, but then the resin didn't quite fill it in evenly. And so, and as a result, you get kind of this shape where it's indented. And we don't want that necessarily either. It's not really a bad thing, but it will show up as a dent when you're painting it. And so these pants are, you know, they're pretty much intended to look like they're flat and, you know, just flat fabric. So it makes no sense for there to be all those little random dents in them. It wasn't a sculpting dent, I guess I should say, because sometimes you can tell when it's sculpted versus not, and that just looked like a casting problem. So that's why there's so many of these. There were a lot of these little indents that I just wanted to kind of flatten out. I don't even think this hairpiece has any big holes, so I can set this one aside. Heat it up a little bit. So I'll take a look while I'm waiting for this. This piece is gonna be interesting. I'm gonna have to cut it in half and use either half as her little hair strands. This one has a couple of holes on it. And that one for sure, the shoes for sure. Arm does not. So I can probably set this arm aside. Okay. We'll return to the rest later after I get these. I kind of skipped one side, so there's two right here that I gotta fill in, but we'll come back to those. Try to get this camera focused again. Oh. Okay. Okay, that one was really easy. This one. Working with these flat surfaces is my favorite. It's so easy. Kind of sand and go. And it fills it in so quickly. Always got to be a little more careful when you're working on something curved like a face, because it's very easy to ruin the sculpt that way. There's another little hole here. Should I drill it out? Yeah. Another good thing is when you're filling in these holes, a lot of times you can end up finding new holes to drill out by the amount of resin dust that enters them. And so what I just saw here was a tiny little hole that I hadn't seen and drilled out because some of the resin dust from the piece, you know, that I just puttied and sanded down went into that hole, and so it looked like a, you know, much brighter white color of the putty dust. Once you notice that, you can, you know, just fill it in as needed. Just kind of step by step, honestly. I might try to, well, we'll see how far we get. I was gonna say I should have tried to probably fill in some of these holes prior to this stream, so you guys don't see me doing this the whole time, but we might end up doing most of that tonight. I always underestimate the time it takes to do this stuff. Once you factor in, you know, glue drying times and putty drying times and everything, it can add up very quickly. Nice. Okay, that did fill in really easily though. There's also a dent here, but I'm gonna ignore that for now. That can probably be filled in with another surface level product. Okay, that one's pretty much good. So we're gonna go back to these two holes right here, and then after that I think there's only one more area. Oh, but the top and the bottom might have some as well. So added kind of a lot of putty on this toothpick. Maybe I'll yeah, I'll fill in these ones too. Need to hold on. There's a little black hair stuck inside this hole I drilled, so I'm trying to get it out. There we go. Okay. Yeah, obviously you don't want any hairs inside of the bubble that you're filling, because then you might end up sealing that hair in there as well. Okay. So we got 4 more, and then there's one more section near the bottom of her pants. Oh yeah, I guess I'll continue looking at these. So there's a hole here that I could fill in. Yeah, there's a couple of surface level stuff on this piece. Definitely some stuff to fill in here towards the top of her collar, boots, and this piece as well. So we're not even like through both of these little pants. This one actually is a little bit worse, so that's great. And towards the bottom there's a hole here too, which there's not on this kit. There's definitely some like sculpting roughness happening. Oh, there's a little bit up here. But to some extent, I'm not really gonna bother with that. You know, there's only so much you can do to fix a kit, especially if it's like a for fun kit, like this one. And really, if you're working with a client, it depends, you know, how much they want stuff improved. Let's see. You just checked current size for the base. Could take 15 hours. Oh man. That's not too bad though, right? Because like a lot of time you just leave it overnight and then you would like go to work or something and it would be done. The rest would be quicker. Yeah, I think that that's not too bad. Just, you know, depends on how high quality you want the print and how big too, I'm sure. Because you can, well, that just came out. I have to re-putty that. Because you can change the size on it, right? I think that's what you can do with those models. But again, I'm not a 3D printing buff, so I have no idea. There we go. Just for reference, I did putty one of these holes, and then as I was sanding, it just kind of like all popped out of the hole. That happens when it wasn't fully dried, so I need to hold it up to the light a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. I ranted a little, but I think I got it. Take a drink then. All right. And yep, that's dry. We are good to continue. This number 400 grit over here is getting a little clogged at this point. I might switch it out. There we go. Almost. A little bit more yellow left. Okay, that's good. And let's move to the other side. Yep, right here. These are both on the same plane, so that will make it easy. Price of the file and the resin will still be cheaper than a lot of kits. Yeah, so the time's worth it, definitely. I think that's one of the big game changers about 3D printing for sure, is essentially, you know, it puts it into the printer's hands, and so you save a lot of money by just being able to do it yourself. And it, like we were discussing last stream, it takes out the middleman, and so, you know, essentially all of the costs that would go to the labor of printing or, you know, casting it and everything, those are all removed, and so really you can save a lot of money by switching to 3D print. I definitely think that's going to be a continuing thing and very, you know, important in the future if it doesn't go that way entirely. So it's a good time to get involved, and printer prices have dropped quite a bit in the past 5 years compared to what they used to be. It used to be like so expensive even to print those hard plasticky ones, which wasn't really feasible for the average hobby person, but nowadays there's tons of them on the market. It's an interesting time being able to talk to people about resin. Okay, a little bit more. There was one whole area I didn't draw. Let's see. I have a few kits with 3D printed parts, and I'm still sus of how brittle they feel. Interesting. Yeah, I have one or two. And I think the difference might be like the type of resin or plastic it's printed with, because one of them I have is, it definitely feels that way, it's pretty brittle, and the other one I have is, it's very lightweight but it doesn't feel brittle, but it does look like it's gonna need some, you know, sanding down to get it to a workable state. And so that, I guess that's my problem with them right now, is you really have to extend the print time by a lot to get rid of all of the resin lines or the print lines. But if you do, you know, you really just need to like prime it with like a filler and then you're good to go. So that is a benefit of it as well. admittedly, I haven't really worked full on with a, you know, printed piece, so I can't say like if it sands down really easy or whatnot, but I do know people now that that's basically all they work with is 3D printed stuff, because, you know, you just buy the file, print it, and very easy. And a wide variety of projects available. You can do something super complicated, or you can print out a little slime and, you know, give it to someone as a gift. So there's a lot more options, I think. That's one reason that I would probably get into it, is just so I could print out little things and paint them real quick and give them to people as gifts, because it's just such a nice thing, you know, being able to do that. Okay, so I think these are the last holes. There's 2 more at the top, and I just realized I probably wanted to fill those in first, but whatever. I will do these 4. There's also a line here, so as I was mentioning during the sanding, the cast on this was not super great, and so there's a visible seam line that even when I sanded it down quite a bit, the pieces just kind of never lined up. And so I was debating whether or not I should fill this in with Bondo or Putty, but let's see how this goes and if it does anything. If not, no problem. I haven't dealt with one of these in quite a while, this complete like misalignment. I think Bondo might be a better fit here, but we'll try. Stuff might just flake off too, because there's not really any like area for it to grip to. It just kind of sits there. Okay, we'll start with that. If it all flakes off, whatever. We'll go in with Bondo later. Let's see, they haven't cracked down on copyright in the same way 3D printed files are what they have. Yeah, I've noticed that, Mr. Freake. Yeah, that's another thing that's kind of iffy right now, is, yeah, like we were saying before, it's the Wild West, right? You don't know, you could be getting something that went the legit way, or you could just be buying it and the copyright is like a fan-made artwork at that point. But if you're going to be printing it and selling it, like, where does it fall, right? Does it fall under, like, you know, a fan illustration, even though it's 3D? Does it need to be copyrighted? You know, Japan's pretty strict with their one-day licensing of those things, and you can actually get, you know, straight up fines if you sell licensed kits that are not on the festival date. Like, companies will come after you, and so that's why they're so strict about it. But 3D world's totally different. Hello, Canon. Yeah, I need a knife. I use my X-Acto for pretty much everything, but honestly, whatever. I'm glad you're here now. You honestly did not miss that much. Today is the puttying day, so we are filling in all of these little holes that I drilled out when I sanded, and it's taking quite a while to fill all of them in, even though we're using the fastest drying putty I have available. Just what happens when there's a lot of imperfections in the resin. Pretty good though. Stuff does the job for sure. Okay. Yep. A few little holes that didn't make the cut, so let me drill those out right now. Usually these happen when I just kind of glob it on and miss one tiny corner, or it settles a little bit and there's just like a tiny hole left. So usually when you guys see me re-drilling and filling a spot, that's why. Okay. Super hesitant to download from 3D file sharing sites because they're, yeah, exactly. We had a huge discussion on Monday, and it is still available via VOD, about the legality of this type of stuff and what is considered ethical or not. So I'm not going to reiterate everything that I said, But needless to say, I agree with you, and I think that, you know, figures that come from, you know, non-legal sources or even just fan-made stuff, I try to opt away from using that now, which is also why I haven't gotten into 3D printing, mostly because of those said reasons. But again, to each their own. You cut yourself. Oh dang. Wait, what? Did you have to go to the emergency room or something, Cannon? Or are you just saying you got a minor slice? That's some serious stuff. I'm always scared of that, which is why I have this big handle, because I need a big grippy tool. I hold all my stuff really weird anyway. Last thing I need is like a tiny handle, and then I end up slipping and cutting my whole finger off. But you're also not a modeler unless you cut yourself once or twice. So rite of passage. I definitely have slipped. I've got a couple marks to prove it. I'll just never forget, there's like a picture that circulates every now and then on Reddit or like wherever people post photos now. And it was like a art student who had an X-Acto knife in her pocket and she forgot it was there. And you kind of know where this is going, but basically her whole thigh ended up being slashed by this knife because it didn't have a safety handle or anything. So yeah, X-Acto knives are no joke. It's your mystery. Your mystery debt collector. Palico has been very kind, okay? Treat them nicely. Just because you have debts to collect, don't mean that I have beef with them. Unless they're actually after me. And then this is them calling to collect too. Oh my god. You gotta DM them, Palico. You got a debt to collect. Oh my god. But I'm good that you're okay, Cannon. Just gotta like bandage it up and keep it together, I guess. Hopefully it's just like a surface level one and not one that split the skin, because I have definitely had those too, and they do hurt quite a bit. Like not quite at stitch level, but it definitely hurts. Okay. I've been working on the same spot for a while, and that's just because I am incompetent and I'm not focusing. Kind of like dabbing it on and then not checking where. Yeah, always be careful around your tools, you guys. Even, you know, if it's something that doesn't seem like it's super sharp or it will hurt you, you can definitely, you know, pierce your skin or hurt yourself. So even things like pinning, just be careful, because I have definitely slipped and like stabbed myself with my drill bits. They are still sharp. I have punctured myself with pins before. That does happen, you know, if you slip too much. Oh my god. This hole too. I might Bondo this, to be honest. These holes just keep popping up. But yeah, I've pierced myself with my wires before, because again, I use kind of a lot of really thin wires, and so especially if you're trying to cut the wire or fit it in tough into a piece to get it to like really stick, it's easy to slip and hurt yourself. And I had some really painful ones before. They punctured in pretty deep, so you know, make sure they're also like not having tetanus or whatever. He's all excited to get... Oh man, what is happening, you guys? This drama. This is some drama that I did not expect to unfold in real time. Oh my god. Hey, I like those Starbucks mugs though. Like, those are really cute actually. In fact, you can go to like any state and get a different one. It's really cute. But I am pretty basic white when it comes to Starbucks. I'm just gonna say it. If anyone else won't say it, I will. I like Starbucks. But I like local coffee shops way more. So Starbucks is like an evil necessity if you don't have anything else next to you. But I do like their cups and mugs and stuff, so I actually do have some like cold, you know, what is it? Like, I guess water cups that I use, and they're pretty nice. And I like the straw they come with too. Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I can't even imagine the amount of stuff that you've seen then. Nursing is like a whole other deal, honestly. And I bet so many of those cases you're just like, how is this possible? How did someone do this? And then you gotta take care of them. So kudos to you, honestly, because I would be like, what the heck? Oh, that actually, so this worked really well, using the light carrying putty to fill in this large seam and misalignment. I'm gonna work my way up here, but I might be able to do that for the arm in that case. And it's a lot more non-invasive compared to the Bondo, which is literally bright red. Yeah, sanding this down basically made that invisible, so that's great. Oh yeah, I'll show you guys in a second. Not that there will really be anything to show, because it's not really visible anymore. But... And in my defense, these two pieces we just worked on are the biggest ones, besides her other pumpkin pants piece. So it would take a lot longer to fill these imperfections. Okay, so yeah, it's pretty non-existent now. There was a really big line that kind of went along here. You can very faintly see it at this point, but it's pretty much, you know, you probably wouldn't see this at all. This one is obviously drilled in, so you can see the hole a little bit more, but that was a really good job. I'm really happy with how, I guess, well that puttied, so might have to go back and do that for some other ones. Okay, there's one other spot here that I just keep kind of filling in, so I'm not going to bother with that. Bondo will do that. But there's also a few tiny holes up here, so I'm going to fill those in. That should conclude this piece. Then we'll move on to some other piece. We'll do a smaller piece, so you guys don't see me just filling in pants all day. Maybe I'll work on her torso, because at least that's a little more interesting. Okay. That should be good. Let me double check. Yeah. And on the bottom. No, not any holes on the bottom. So just this top is left. I want to eat this candy so bad, but it's not candy ASMR stream. It's drinking ASMR stream with carbonation. Okay, we good yet? Yeah, we'll see. I don't know how it's possible to be impatient even for 30 seconds, but I am. Okay, and these pants, they might need some filling in terms of like a gap filling, but because they are covered up by this large torso piece here, like this, we really don't have to worry too much about it. Well, I actually might go like this. I'm not 100% sure yet, but there's, even when we magnetize these together, if there's kind of a slight gap, I'm probably not going to worry about it, because again, things that are not visible are kind of up to you to decide whether or not you'd rather take the time to fix them. If no one's going to see it, then it's kind of like, you know, you care, do you not care? It's up to you. Okay, this should be good now. I think all of these holes are filled in at this point. So You can see all of these little yellow dots all over the pants. These are all areas that I drilled out and have been filled in. So lots of little miscellaneous dots, especially like right here, you can see. And there's a little bit up here at the top as well, but you know, I filled those in just because they were there. All right, so let's move on to a little bit, you know, less intensive piece, but still needs some work. This would be the torso area. So most of the holes here are kind of located along the top of her collar. You can see one right there. There's a big one. There's a couple right there and here, but definitely not as many as, you know, what we just dealt with. So we'll get those filled in real quick. Okay, so same deal. Just gonna take some putty. There's also a chunk kind of taken out of the collar. I think I pointed that out before. That one will also fill in really easy with this putty, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add a big glob of it here. This hole might be a little bit harder to deal with, but we can do it. And after we finish this torso piece, I'll probably go back and test the arms fit. Make sure that it looks okay. I think, yeah, now that I'm remembering post-vacation and all of the talk about this kit is coming back, there was that slight gap that was in one of the arms. And so I might take the time and epoxy that or use a 2-part putty to fill in that a little bit. We'll see how spicy I'm feeling. Oh, never mind. There's quite a bit of holes on top here. We'll just fill everything in, honestly, and go from there. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, I will show you guys shortly. There's basically a whole bunch of carving out that I had to do on one of these side arms. I think it was this arm. Yeah. And because of that, there's a slight gap now between her arm and this torso piece. So, okay. So we're all, you know, yellowed up. You can see all these yellow globs. So I'm gonna put all of this against the light, and we'll wait a little bit longer this time just because there's kind of a lot of holes, and I'm rotating the piece against my light right here. So make sure all of them cure all at once. There's also some slight scratching along the sides of her hips area, and those will have to be filled in. Oh, there's also one tiny hole that I missed right near like the bottom of her thigh leg area. And so once we're done with the collar, we'll have to fill that in as well. Lots of holes on this kit. A little more than I remembered, so that's probably why I put it off so long. So I just didn't feel like building it with all of these little imperfections. Were you standing at round one? Monkey! I'm not that bad. But I did take this kit with me on my vacation, and I did do some sanding, but it was not at round one, because when I was at round one, I was solving that international PR disaster. And one day at round one, I was actually playing games. So, you know, I have to have these kits near me, but most of the time I only get like an hour or two in it at a time. I'm not one of those people that can sit and sand for longer than like 2 hours. So honestly, yeah, Curry. So, I mean, yeah, I definitely like cannot do this as a full-time thing, because sitting down for like 8 hours and sanding nonstop would just drive me crazy. So I definitely take a lot of breaks, which is also why I take a little longer to, you know, finish all of this stuff. Has the international PR disaster settled down? Yeah, I haven't seen anything else. I think it really was like a 24-hour life cycle thing for, you know, Twitter world, and then they moved on to something else. Although, interestingly, the topic is still being brought up, and T's system, I'm not sure if any of you guys are familiar with him, or that circle, very old school, still making figures all the time. T System, or Miyagawa Takeshi, he actually tweeted out an image that he found of a Yahoo, and a link to a Yahoo auction listing and was basically like, this is my work, and people on Yahoo auction are just selling it, endless copies of it, so please report it, because it's a fake. Which, this is a topic I brought about on Monday. I was wondering how people felt about Yahoo auctions and the huge increase of bootlegs all over it, because that's something that really bothers me too, and I'm not even an artist. Just having to sift through all of them is literally the worst. But anyway, so that topic is still coming up in Japan and on Japanese Twitter, and Gaia Notes, the paint company, actually tweeted about it as well. They retweeted Miyagawa Takeshi's tweet and basically said that at one point, so Gaia Notes has a resin wash product. So when you give your kid a bath, you're cleaning all the degreaser and stuff off of it. Gaia Notes has a product called resin wash, which basically does that. You don't need Simple Green or anything. You just put it in resin wash and it will clean off everything. So they tweeted out that some person at some point had asked for a refund on that product, but it was because they used the resin wash with a recast, and it melted the recast. That wasn't compatible because the resin was such poor quality. And so it basically ended with never support pirates, because even if you buy one, you may end up having it destroyed because the resin sucks. One, you're supporting pirates. Two, but it's oh my god, I've literally never heard of resin wash or a degreaser or soap like that melting a kit. That is absolutely bonkers. Yeah, it's what the hell? I was straight up what the heck? So I actually retweeted that on my Twitter, because I was this is the first time I've ever heard of that, but I'm never gonna stop talking about it now. And yeah, I agree, Crafty. It's gotten really bad, to the point where, pandemic didn't help in curbing my spending on auctions and checking listings, but it has gotten so difficult trying to shift. If you're just looking up general, garage kit listings, trying to sift through the amount of bootlegs all over there and sift through the amount of random 3D printed stuff. It's horrible. It's gotten so bad. And then, combine that with the pre-painted resins that now occupy the garage kit category, because they just throw in every single search term and call it a garage kit. It's really difficult to search on there now. And so really what you got to do is just, one, specify your search. If you're searching for a specific rail or something, then I would use the circle name, use, the series name, or some combination of that, and you'll get much more refined results. Or there's a way you can remove those listings. If you search, all this is terms in Japanese. So if you search garage kit in Japanese, put a minus sign, or the little dash, and then whatever term you want to exclude, and it will eliminate those from your search. So a lot of times now what I do is I type in garage kit, and then I type in minus, and I have a whole bunch of terms for stuff that I don't really care about, in terms of things I know aren't garage kits. So one-piece resins are really popular, but because of one-piece licensing, you're never gonna get a garage kit version of one-piece stuff. You're only gonna get the pre-painted stuff. So you can safely remove that from your search. I tend to remove free shipping, the word free shipping, from my search, because a lot of times those recast listings have that in them, among other various things. There's pre-order is another one. So a lot of the pre-painted resins will have pre-order in the title. Well, you can't pre-order a big a garage kit that's already came out at a Wonder Festival, so you can remove that. Yada yada yada. So that's my minor rant. It is annoying. And you hope you've avoided recasts on Yahoo auctions, but you're a noob. Generally, they're pretty easy to notice. They're kind of similar to, things you'd look out for on the Western market. So you want to avoid anything that has a number in its name, a reference number. So a lot of times they'll have a W underscore some sort of sequence of numbers. That's a sign it's a recast. The whole free shipping thing. If it is just the picture of the official kit, and then like either that's it, they don't have the box photo, or if they have just the parts like randomly in a plastic bag, you know, like, and generally it's not a plastic bag like this. It's split into like separate pieces. So you'll have like a piece for this in a, like a little baggie. You'll have a piece for this in a little baggie, and it may be like one whole piece of plastic, but it'll generally like have the pieces lined up like that. And each one is like in a little tiny separate pouch. That's a huge sign that it's a recast or a bootleg, because pieces aren't like that when you buy them from Wonderfestival or whatever. They're just not. I've literally never encountered a situation where every individual piece is in like a tiny baggie like that. The closest I've come is like pieces that were literally color coordinated and split into separate baggies, but that doesn't apply here. So that will, you know, be a sign of it. Low price, not necessarily, but a lot of times, you know, if you're looking for a 02 kit, your chances are you're not going to find one for $80 on Yahoo auction. Like, it just doesn't happen. So price is a big one. Now let's see, sorry, while I'm ranting, let me read your guys' comments. It's literally hundreds of recast unlicensed resins. I'm so paranoid about missing a grill. I always want to scroll through. Yeah, I very much agree, Crafty. I'm the same way, because I have definitely found grails that did not have things like, you know, the sculptor listed, or the very, very specific, like, this is Yotsuba from blah, blah, blah. You know, sometimes it just says like, you know, resin kit, 1/8 resin kit, unknown, or something like that. And so if you have the knowledge to find it, it's fine, but then you risk having to sort through all of that garbage. So it's just the worst. And yes, Canon, I don't know what you mean by just paint, but yes, you should. And you're fairly confident on 4 out of 5 the ones you got, but one we'll see. Yeah, the problem is it's getting harder to tell. Not like 100%. So if you have all the warning signs, you can generally tell, but there have been times where I've like clicked on a listing because it was something I was like looking for, and then I'm like, oh great, it's a recast, or it's a bootleg version. So I don't know if there's a way for foreigners to report those listings. Like if you need a Yahoo Auctions account to report the listing. Because I was seeing people on T-Systems Twitter doing it and reporting it, but I've never been able to do that. Otherwise, I would be definitely reporting every single one that I see. I think you probably do need a Japanese account to use that. And Japanese Yahoo Auction is a pain to set up for many reasons. It's kind of not possible for foreigners right now, which is why we use proxy service instead. Because I think you have to link your actual bank card and everything in Japan. So even if you had a forwarder, you wouldn't be able to do that because you need a Japanese bank card account. I mean, just put the topic to rest. JP, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I just brought it up again because T-System was tweeting about it, that it like personally affected him, which is just horrible. But it is something we all need to be aware of, especially if we're going to be trying to buy ethically. Sadly, I have known people that have accidentally purchased ones off of Yahoo Auction, right? And that's probably the worst situation because you spend all this time, you know, buying from a proxy and paying all those additional fees, and then it's still a fake. The worst. All right, I'm puttying the inside of this little shoulder gap here. I got the top part pretty much sanded down, but this is a pretty chunky hole here, so I want to make sure that I fill in all of it. Doing pretty good though. I think we got like 3 of those sanded out for the most part, and then there's the other side of the torso. And she's still got that bubble down near her thigh area as well. Come on. Okay. Should be good. Let's see. Yep, mostly good. I think I'll try to use the knife for this. It's a little easier to carve out. this once it's dry. The UV is a little harder to do this. It's easier with the light curing. Okay, we'll have to see once that gets primed how it's kind of looking, but it's also on the inside of her shoulder area, so I'm not too fussed if there's a slight bit of a indent there, but we do want to make sure that it won't be visible. Okay. This one pretty good. Oh yeah, there's also a big chunk kind of near the bottom. Not sure if you guys can see it right here, and that will definitely need to be filled into, just because it's like an aesthetic thing. Just doesn't look nice. Okay. But for now, we'll continue this shoulder. Kind of a minor bit of resculpting here too. This bubble's in a very inconvenient spot. Let's see. Looking pretty good. There's a little bit of extra dust here. Not sure if that's the gap that I missed or what. Let me wipe it off a little bit. No, that's pretty good. So let me test with the arms real quick. And was this one? It would have to be, huh? Test the other one. Yeah, so this arm fits fine. Really no issue here. The other one, I could get it. Yeah, the shoulder was up a little bit more, which is, I think, fine. Yeah, it just kind of fits in like this. Let me see if the other arm sticks out. Yeah, there might be a little bit of minor sanding I have to do on the top of this shoulder blade. Or the bottom, actually. That's it. When we start magnetizing, that will be something to fix. Because right now, the way that this sits, you can see that the shoulder blade is a little bit higher than the, I guess, torso area. Whereas this one, you can see that the shoulder blade kind of fits pretty snugly in. And it's a lot, like, it flows better, I guess what I mean to say. The shoulder blade clearly comes out. This one is very angular at top. You can see it doesn't fit yet. It should be kind of down more like this. So there's kind of two ways to fix that. I think the easiest would be, since I already carved all of this out, is to just sand down this bottom here and get that a little more smooth. Because right now that angular part is like touching here and it's causing it to kind of jut upwards. So that's something for later once we start magnetizing, but it is level, you know, repair level work that we will do in this stage. So, and that piece was kind of weird anyway, like it had all those issues with all the resin that was stuck kind of in the middle, wasn't really cast that well. So okay. I'm just gonna fix the bottom of her area now. And there's a hole right here. Okay. That's pretty normal work though. What I just described is, you know, fixing those types of pieces that don't fit. just because you buy an original kit, it doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to get a well-fitting, perfect cast. It really just kind of depends on a lot of factors. After these two areas that we repaired, though, I think we're good to move on to the next piece. So. T-systems, yeah, again, bring up the topic of T-system. Yeah, I've heard like very mixed things about T-systems original casts, especially some of the older ones are pretty rough shape, let's be honest. Yeah. So, a lot of holes, a lot of areas that need repairs. Not great, but T-system, like Miyagawa Takeshi, goes back long term. So like a lot of, you know, there's new sculptors popping up every year, but he is one of the olds, and I would argue one of the people that really helped, you know, found this hobby and found figure collecting too. Anybody that has probably collected figures has at some point seen one of his sculpts because he has a very definitive style. But, you know, he also has a history of garage kits dating all the way back 20 years ago, you know. There's kits that he's made from 2000, Wonder Festival 2000 and earlier. So, I mean, at that point, like, when you're working with a 2000s era resin or earlier, you know, you're probably gonna have some issues anyway. So I can give a guy a little bit of slack because the technology was definitely not anywhere near what it is today. I have kits from 2004 and they are a mess as well, so really it's like, I think more of an age and technology problem at that point. But I don't know if, you know, his newer stuff is like that or not. I'm actually personally not a huge fan of his style. The kits are fine, like I have no problem with, you know, the figures themselves, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of how he sculpts faces compared to some other people that I like, so I don't really purchase a lot of T-system stuff. But you cannot deny that he is absolutely influential in the hobby and kind of paved the way for a lot of collecting. Yeah, again, it was a Wild West. Back then it was kind of crazy. Very difficult to find footage from back then and photos. It was really interesting. A bulk of what I did on MFC, you know, back when I modded, was adding and finding those old kits, and it's a lot harder now. And I did skip a lot of them because some of them are pretty darn rough. I was like, ooh, I don't know if anybody would even care if I added this to the database. It's literally like not, no one's gonna care. Let's see, I wonder how old your IU kit is. Dress is basically a giant block of resin and you can kill someone with it. Yeah, some of those pieces are massive too. Yes, very much. Yeah, Bohm is another big oldie in this hobby for sure. 100%. Yeah, him and Miyagawa Takeshi are, you know, the two of the ones that paved the way, I would say. There were a couple others as well, but the fact that they're still, well, especially T-System, still in the hobby is really pretty crazy. Okay, I think this is pretty good. I've sanded down and filled in quite a bit of area over here. Not 100% sure how this cracked one area is looking, but let's see. Might sand this down a little more. And I'll throw this away. Dig out some of my pot. I might have to cut some more. If I have any bigger slabs of this. Yeah, here's one right here. I have a chibi kit, you could kill a man with a head. Yeah, some of them are really old too. If that's like that 1/5 scale one I'm thinking about, they can be huge. Yeah, and definitely really they're monster pieces. I shy away from kits that big, but they are impressive as hell. Okay, I'm gonna have to probably wait on this, fill it in a little later. It's giving me some weirdness. Let's see. We have some early 2000 or early thousands mass-produced kits, and yeah, the 2000s were interesting for garage kits because I feel like that's really when it started to pop off. Like, you know, you had Wonder Festivals dating back to the 80s and JAF Con and everything, but I really started seeing an influx of kits starting in like 1998 onwards, because really that's kind of when the transition from monster kit to like anime kit was starting, and that actually kind of mirrors how anime was going as well. You know, 80s we had a lot of monster, Sentai, Gundam, mecha stuff, and Gundam was just starting to be like really popular. And then the 90s kind of started transitioning into different stuff, and so that's more like anime history culture in general, but it is interesting that garage kits kind of follow that path as well. That's just something that I noticed adding tons and tons and tons of garage kits over the years. Okay, this is starting to look pretty good, and let me check the nice piece here. The one that we filled out. Yeah, that's pretty good. So pretty good fit in between here and here. You can see she doesn't have like panties on. I don't really know what's going on. It's just like really low slung shorts. There is kind of a slight gap in between, but again, it doesn't really matter that much because when we're going to be fitting the pieces in here, they will fit like so. So you're not going to see basically any of that, and you'll only really see her belly and barely a hint of like her butt. You can see if you angle it the right way, there's a there's a little bit of a gap there. That will be filled here. So once you put the other piece in, it's not too bad. All right, so I think that concludes the torso. Let me look at it one more time. Mostly, yeah, we were just filling in this big time imperfections. Yeah, yep, 20 years ago. Isn't that crazy to think about? Yeah, like my kits from 2004 are almost 15 years old and they haven't been built yet. They're just waiting for somebody to build them. To me, that's like, isn't that so fun? I don't know. It's part of the joy of building kits, I guess, is like breathing life also into something that's older. And some of these really, truly old kits, they may not even have, you know, a photo that's available on the internet. I've definitely seen my fair share of kits that the only photo I have or know of them is like the plastic bag description or just like pieces. Like all it is just pieces. And so knowing that you could do that and could like, you know, build something and show it off and no one's seen it for like 15 years, that's super cool. I find that really exciting. And there's something to be said about people who work with those older kits too, because they are more often than not pretty rough. If the resin is not rough, the cast is rough, you know. Pretty typical to have really yellowed resin back then. Some of the really, really old kits aren't even resin, they're made of vinyl. And so that was kind of, that again is a really, really old era from monster days, you know, kaiju days, as a lot of these Godzilla kits and stuff were made of vinyl. And so for a brief period of time, some anime garage like model kits were in vinyl as well. So if you ever browsing like Mandarake or something like that, you may end up coming across a really late 80s, early 90s kit, but it's actually made of vinyl. And usually they're cast in like one or two pieces, so just kind of interesting. I do not have any that are that old. I think my oldest one is pretty early 2000s, but a lot of my interests kind of lie more in that, not the truly vintage stuff. So I've not had a chance to see or touch one of those resins. But yeah, a lot of those old ones are also cast in one piece, which is why you get those like chibi, you know, Ah My Goddess kits and stuff, or like the Sailor Moons that are, some of the chibi ones are cast in one full piece, and that is pretty typical of that era as well. again, if you're looking on like Yahoo auctions for the latest, you're probably not going to see any of that, but I feel like sites like Mandarake cater more towards the vintage stuff these days rather than the new stuff. You can absolutely find new stuff on there as well, but if you're, you know, looking post-festival, you don't want to be looking on Mandarake. Okay, so I apparently have moved on to this arm. There was a small hole that I saw that I thought I could fill in, and so I'm just gonna do that. The rest is Bondo stuff. They're like all very small surface level, and I did see a bunch of really tiny holes, so I'm not gonna bother digging those out when this spot filling putty could do that. But I did want to get this one that was a little bit bigger. You were just on Mandarake, yeah. See if you notice the difference, because there is kind of a difference, especially if you search the garage kit section. You'll tend to find a lot more of the vintage stuff. And kind of going into that, the clarification between like truly vintage kits and newer kits is often in the terminology. And so at least on Yahoo auctions, again, it's kind of changed since all the bootlegs are on it now. But you would look up garage kit and you get a bunch of listings, you know. But if you look up resin kit instead, you're gonna get stuff that's more vintage. And I'm not sure why there's that difference in terminology. My Japanese is not good enough to find articles about it or whatever. But a lot of older kits, like, you know, these 90s, early 2000s, stuff when like Kotobukiya was making resins, you know, so some manufacturer resins. A lot of those are listed under the term resin kit, and they may or may not pop up if you're looking up garage kit. So if you're the type that's looking for really old holy grails, that may be something that you want to consider doing, is switch up your search term. And you saw a Japanese artist post a photo of being at a shop that has garage kits. Yeah, I think that I saw that photo, and I'm almost 100% positive it was Mandarake. Because I've been to Mandarake in Japan, at least one or two of their stores, and the shop setup looked pretty much like that. The garage kit sections and anything really at Mandarake is interesting, to say the least. Like, it's a fun shop, but like a lot of shops in Japan, they're split up into like little other shops, and so you'll have a section for like vintage toys, and then you'll exit that store and you'll walk alongside it and find another section of Mandarake that has like all doujin books. And so it's not like a department store where everything is in one area. It's very split up into different sections. And a lot of the used toys and stores like that are split up into different sections. So if you go to Akibahara and you're looking for like Loshing Bang, or if you go to, I forgot, whatever. If you're looking for like Otome goods, they're all split up all over Sunshine City. Like, it's crazy. And I had to get instructions on like how to find what I was looking for. And I had to get instructions on how to find garage kits in Mandarake too, because I walked into one and I was just like, where am I? What's happening? And I had to like go up 3 flights of stairs and walk down until I found it. And so it's really fun. Yeah, it's interesting times. But I very highly recommend the experience if you ever have a chance to go to Japan. Go to a couple of Mandarakes and you'll have a new appreciation for their online store, because oh my god, it's really difficult. And forget about it if you want to like buy 3 things together that are all from different parts. I don't know how they do it. They must have to run all across, which is again why they don't accept cancellations, because they are split all across these shopping malls. And so if you order a bunch of shit on Mandarake and then cancel it, they have to like run back and put it all back in their individual stores. So it's just a huge hassle. Yeah, right? Oh man, I do miss Japan. Like, going there and just experiencing the culture for the first time, it was really pretty incredible. It's something I've always wanted to do as a kid. So I'm really happy that I was able to time it before COVID struck. And also, you know, pre-Olympics, because that was a pretty big concern, is like getting there before the Olympics. I don't know how they plan to have the Olympics still. I don't know how that's gonna be possible, given, you know, the vaccine rollout over there has been really horrible. People are pretty angry about it over there. And admittedly, I don't know how they're still social distancing or working or anything, but it's just not a situation right now where they're able to have, you know, thousands of people come in. Hopefully next year, you know. I want to say next year, but I just don't know what it's gonna be like. Not that I would visit next year, but I hope that they open up, you know, so people like you guys who want to visit would be able to if you can. Let's see. Yeah, I was like, man, there's a lot of things I want to smuggle. I'll smuggle some people, I'll smuggle my dog, and now I live here, guys. And yep, and so many things to bring back, just hobby tools and things that aren't accessible. You guys, oh my god. Don't get kicked out of hotels, please. Yes, Mr. Freaky, I hope that if you're able to, you can. It's so much fun. Yeah, it's life-changing, I'd say, especially if it's something that you've always wanted to do. And it is very, at least Tokyo is very foreigner-friendly, so I know that's a concern a lot of people have. And I've certainly been asked before, you know, can I go there if I don't even know any Japanese? And the answer, especially in Tokyo, is definitely yes. Like, I speak very rudimentary Japanese. My reading's a little bit better, so like my kanji is, you know, elementary school level, but I'm able to get around. And people are, you know, they know you're a foreigner, so they're gonna treat you like a foreigner no matter what, especially, you know, if you don't look super Asian. If you do look Asian, you know, they might assume, you know, you are Japanese, maybe, and then it might be a little harder, but for me it was no problem because I am white as snow. So, regardless, like, people knew I was not going to be speaking. But it does help to at least, you know, treat it like you would anything. Be respectful, try to use some Japanese phrases, you know. Try to listen and understand so you don't have to be that foreigner, you know. Yes, very much. The more effort you put toward it, the more, I think, people will, you know, treat you kindly. And so if you show a genuine effort to try to, you know, order in Japanese or be respectful and definitely stay, you know, quiet on the trains and everything, people will just, you know, let you treat you as usual. Treat you like, you know, a human being. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I personally had a fantastic time. You know, I didn't encounter any racism at all, and people were really kind to me, so I had a fantastic experience. Let's see. That's interesting. Wow, Sapporo was hit or miss. Good thing. Yeah, I did spend 3 days in Kyoto, and it also felt pretty foreigner friendly, but I haven't visited any of those other places, and so that, you know, I think next time I visit, I would like to spend less time in Tokyo maybe, and try visiting some other parts of the country, just because a lot of Tokyo is also kind of like tourist trappy, and there's so many other beautiful things to see throughout Japan that it just makes sense to experience different aspects of it. And let's see. Coworkers, when you first started your job, thought you were Asian. Yeah, I have actually friends that have experienced that as well, Canon, that they're mistaken for Asian when they're actually just Mexican. And like, I lived in the Southwest for a long time, and so to me it was like really easy to pick apart like people who were Asian versus Mexican people, but some of, like, I can see how some people would mistake it. Yeah. I also have friends who are like half Korean or half, you know, Chinese, and they're mistaken for other things sometimes, so it's funny. You're a white guy with tattoos. Yeah, as long as you don't have back tattoos and try to go into onsens, you're fine. That was something that I did see actually. Sorry for the photo of my pale arm here, guys. I'm putting putty on this. That is something that I saw, you know, was onsen signs that said, you know, no tattoos allowed. So that's very much a cultural thing that's still there. I feel like maybe if you're white, like, they probably know, but it's still not something you really want to risk. You're dying to go to Osaka Aquarium. Oh yeah, that one as well. There's just so many things to see there. I could honestly fill a book with things that I would love to see in Japan and go to. Yeah, wish I could spend more time there. It's just such an expensive city. I mean, it's first world, right? And so, like, you are basically planning for it as if you were planning to going to New York or something. You are definitely paying the price. There's obviously like deals everywhere if you're going to like, you know, family style establishments or hole in the wall places, but you know, without that knowledge, it's very easy to just, you know, find a place that looks cool and then end up paying a lot. No tattoos if they say no tattoos. Yeah, oh, interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. You know, and that's again going back to being respectful. You know, you don't want to try to push the limits of stuff while you're there because the rules are pretty clearly stated, right? So, makes no sense to try to break them and get in trouble. Yeah, I'm poor too right now. Otherwise, I would go right now. Starting school and being in school does that to you. But that's why. So then I can make lots of money and go again. Okay. These ones, there are only a couple holes on this piece, so I'm able to get through it pretty quickly. And this is her hair, question mark. Like it's the same color as her hair in the product photo, but I don't think that it is her hair, because unless it's purposely styled that way. And this would be a very uncomfortable hairstyle to have. Like, is it an attempt at a braid? Or did she like shape her hair into these cones? This makes no sense. So I'm gonna treat this piece as like a little scrunchie or something, and so I will be painting this a different color. Okay, these are all filled out. These are filling in really well, so, but there's, wow, quite a few, so I'm just gonna work on it in a circle. In Japan, all phones have to have a noise on the camera snap. Yes, I did know that actually, because I had a friend who had to buy a camera or a phone while they were there because their phone broke, and then they couldn't turn the camera snap off. Yeah. Aren't there also women-only train cars now? I think that there was at least a couple of places that were doing that just to prevent, you know, the nasties from taking photos in upskirts when they shouldn't be. Which that just makes sense. I think they do that in India too. Not for the upskirt part, but just the women in train cars, women and children in train cars. Give some options for safety. Yeah, very much so. And that's good. I think that they're, you know, in situations like that, I'm glad that there are efforts to curb that kind of behavior. This piece is worse than the other little scrunchie, for sure. There's like 7 holes on this, plus on this thing. I don't know how it's possible. This piece is so small. Oh my gosh, I also just realized we hit past 10. So I guess I'll finish this piece up tonight. I'm just having fun talking to you guys about all sorts of random stuff tonight. But we still got a little bit of while to go. So thank you if you're able to, you know, stay with me this long. If you do need to go, I totally understand. And in that case, the next stream will be next Monday. I don't know what day that is off the top of my head. Actually, it's not July 4th, is it? Let me double check now. Oh, July 5th, so that's fine. For us Americans, we've got Independence Day coming up. And so, if you do have stuff to do, I get it. But I will be streaming on the 5th. So, just letting you know. Let's see. In Tokyo Tower, a girl made fun of your cleavage because you were wearing a V-neck. Oh, dang. Oh my goodness. Yeah, now that I think about it, I was pretty conservative in my attire in Japan. Like, it was also winter, because I went in for Winter Wonder Festival and everything, and so I was basically in like a giant, you know, nice coat the whole time, so no worries there. But yeah, Japanese are definitely more conservative when it comes to stuff like that. I think cleavage is like the thing they're conservative about though, right? Like they wear a lot of short skirts and everything, but for some reason if you wear a v-neck it's like, oh god. You abused it. Good for you. Gotta work that system. Yep. Work your womanly powers. Alright, let's see. I got a free sticker. That counts, probably because I was just foreigner. But I went to a shop that sold all stickers, and they were very nice, and they gave me an extra sticker. So I was like, oh boy. Also, a Japanese guy called me cute, or like, I guess beautiful is like the word, but it's like one of those things that I heard and I didn't understand the meaning of at the time. And so like it's only like when I came back I was like, what is that word that like people kept calling me? And then I looked it up and I was like, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. I never told anyone that until now. It was like, oh my god. They don't know you speak it, and so like people are a lot more honest and just like voice their opinion when they assume you don't know anything. You live in the Midwest of the state. Your parents are from Great Britain. Interesting. Very interesting. Well traveled. Also, I would love to visit like all of Europe someday. So like the problem with going to Japan is once you go there, that's the only place you want to go, especially if you're a weeb like me. And so there are so many other places all across the world that I would love to visit, but then I'm always just like, but Japan. Like, I want to go back to Japan. So, fun times. Would love to visit France, Germany, all of England, Italy, just everywhere. Ireland, Switzerland, Sweden, the Netherlands, Turkey, India. Yeah, the list goes on and on. But I don't have enough time. Just never enough time. Korea, South Korea, obviously. Never been there, but that might be a potential trip in the future. So I think wouldn't necessarily go to Japan for my next big one, but South Korea might be a one. You guys working it out. These sus Smarties deals. You've been to Germany and the Netherlands. Oh, really? Did you have a good experience then, Cannon? Those are two countries I've always wanted to go to, but again, never had the chance. I usually end up in some part of Asia. Yes, Pelico, you call me out. I'm just listing what's off the top of my head. I can't be that ignorant of an American, okay? Although those are all pretty well-known countries, so, you know. Oops on me. I didn't say that I was a geography major, okay? I said I was a science major, so my knowledge of countries is shockingly poor. You went to conventions in both countries? Whoa, was it like a see friends situation or just like you've always wanted to go? Did you go to Gamescom? Is that one of the big ones? Because that's the big one I think of. Just don't listen to certain US media. Yeah, pretty much. I purposely avoid like American media. It's already a shit show. Definitely have to be wary of what you're reading over here. Oh no, Canon. Yeah, that's the big one that I know over there. One of a few, I think. And so that's a shame. Oh man. That con is like legendary too. That's such a shame. Some of the cosplayers there are like the best in the world, I think. So to miss that is like, oh, that sucks. Okay, I need to switch it up for this hopefully last hole. It's kind of on the inside of the scrunchie, and so going in with the sharp paper is not doing it. I think I can get it with this cloth sandpaper here. It was in the city we were visiting too? Oh no. Is that just poor planning on your part, dude? Because that con's been around a while. Still, that sucks though. Oh man. I've had my fair share of like near misses, so I get it, but oh. But at least you got to see a lot of Germany, hopefully. That's like such a beautiful country. I have distant relatives and ancestors from there, but I'm not going to be one of those Americans that says I'm German, because let's be real, like I'm American. Okay, that actually worked really well. Oh dang, some zingers over here, so mean. Oh my god. Saw the banner in the building when you're on the train. I imagine like as you're leaving, you're just like, oh, Gamescom. Wait, what? As you're like flying out and you see it on like a train. Oh no. What con did you go to then? Was it, and like what would be the purpose? Just like another well-known one then? Okay. I think we're mostly good here. Shave off a little bit here. My music like not playing? I like don't hear it. Yeah, we straight up finished this playlist. Oh, you were visiting a friend. Oh, that's really nice then. Yeah, that's absolutely like acceptable reason. That's not so cool that like you can just visit friends from other countries and stuff now thanks to the internet. That's like when I visit my good friend Jelly, who does not stream right now, but Jellycat Studios. Definitely had some of the best times visiting them when I went to Australia. Okay, taking one last look at this for tonight. I realized that I kind of shifted over here over the course of the stream. So we have a friend in the Netherlands, so you're visiting them too. That's wonderful that you're able to, you know, go and see them. Always the best. And coincidentally, they were going to be at cons a week after each other visit. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's awesome. And yay, yeah, Palico, I think we're mutuals then. Yeah, I'm very good friends with Jelly, and I've known Toshki for quite a while now, and she's also very sweet. And I very much enjoy her work and what she is doing to try to make figure collecting and garage kit building safer and happier for everybody. Oops. I also met her at Wonder Festival, so that was really funny. And we were just like, hey, want to meet up? And then a lot of us all met up at Wonder Festival. Jelly was also there. That's funny. This field is pretty small. Like, honestly, if you know people, you kind of know most people. And that's just kind of the Western kit building sphere, I guess. Okay, let's do one more. So maybe I'll meet some of you guys someday. You never know. Very possible. Always fun to meet up with online people. I have yet to have an experience that went wrong, so knock on wood. But, you know, half of my life has basically been spent online, so to me it's kind of like second nature meeting people from other countries and seeing them. And people are very transparent these days, so it's generally pretty easy to tell how someone will be in real life versus like online, well, especially once you get to know them. You're meeting up with total randos, I don't know what to say. No experience with that, but everyone that I've met online that I've known for quite a while, it's been a lasting friendship, so. Yeah, isn't that wild? Yeah, and it was kind of just like, well, for Jelly and I, we actually like spent time in Japan together. We spent like a week together or something, so we, you know, hung out a lot. But Toshki I'd like never met before, and then she messaged me and was like, hey, I'm going to Water Festival. I was like, oh my god, me too. And so we all met up. It was kind of a big group of us who all met up, and then after the crazy festivities of Wonder Festival, we all went and got like barbecue or something, like Japanese barbecue. And that was really fun. That was just crazy. Like, all these memories are coming back now. But yeah, any of you guys are ever going to cons or something, there's a possibility that sometime in the next couple years I'll end up meeting up with you once all the con stuff starts happening again. That was a big bummer for the longest time, not having any cons and stuff to go to. Where do I find these people? The internet. You know people, you know them. A lot of people don't reach out to me though, because I'm pretty scary. Like, and I have a resting bitch face, so even if you meet me in real life, you'll probably think, why is Monto so mad at me? Why does she hate me? And I might, until I get to know you better. Let's see, some people online scare me. I won't say names, but she has stories. I don't know who has stories, but you know, that scares me a little. Yeah, I'm a little scary in real life. I have a presence that puts some people off. I'm just gonna straight up say it. Yeah, I talk like all casual like this, but and it's probably good for me that, you know, I'm able to talk like this with you guys, but I'm pretty introverted when it comes to like actual social situations, and so a lot of times I'm more of a listener for sure. But then combine that with the resting bitch face and people just think I'm mad at them. So, but I'm not. I'm just listening. Unless you say something that, you know, makes me not like you. Then I will just not like you. Yep. Yep, you guys are relatable. Yep. I ain't got time for that anymore. Yeah. Just how it is. Alright, and I guess with that and me divulging more about how you guys will be scared if you meet me, we're pretty much done with this piece for now. There was a lot of work that happened on it. Like, it's probably pretty hard to see just because the camera angle, but I filled in like 7 holes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I circled around. Yeah, at least 7 or 8, maybe more, on just on this tiny little hairpiece alone. Let's see, you're quiet and smiley and not. Yeah, that's exactly how I am too. And it's just like, yeah. COVID mask has been great because like I haven't had to be frowning, and so people think I'm friendlier than I actually am. When really I'm just frowning. Anyway, we're pretty much done for tonight, I guess. So we still have some pieces here. There are these 4 that are left. The rest we've pretty much covered. So we've got all of these on this side done. Let me move them all over. Unfortunately, the putty filling is just taking a lot longer than I thought, just due to the number of problems with the holes here. But all of these are all filled out, and so I should have a little bit of time this coming weekend over the next couple days to do some of the putty filling on this. So that way next time we won't be completely, you know, spending all our time filling these out, because it is time consuming even with the 30-second delay. But then I guess next time after that, we're gonna try magnetizing / pinning some of this. Kind of the fun part, because then you finally get to start to see stuff coming together. And also with that in mind, we'll need to start doing the surface level scratch prep, which means more Bondo, aka the spot filling putty. And I will also need to figure out what I'm gonna do about her twin tails, because right now they're in like 2 separate pieces each, and what we want is one concise piece that just like we can paint together. And so we're gonna have to do some pinning and gluing and puttying over that to get it all smoothed out. So I haven't done that before, so you guys will get to see that in real time, so that should be fun. I think that's pretty much it for tonight then. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. My next stream will be on July 5th at 8 p.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time. Again, it was really fun talking to you guys about all sorts of stuff today. I'm glad we got a good chunk of this done, but still much more to go. So I hope you all have a good rest of the night. I will talk to you guys soon after our American holiday, and stay safe and stay cool. For real, it's like so hot. All right, have a good night, you guys. Yep, talk to you later. Bye-bye.